You know what time it is.
F-U-L-L-O-U-D. We got control, we got the right, we got the vision, you lose the sight. We will never stop. What? We got the drop, yeah.
What time is it? Full. We're live in 5, 6, 7, 8. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Full Out Chats Coach's Corner here on a Wednesday evening. We are back. I am Steve Solberg. I'm head cheerleading coach at Purdue University and am the host of the show. Super excited to go over a couple of other topics that we were kind of interested in. Also, a little follow-up on the college rules that we talked about last week. And yes, we have a mystery guest. The guys are kind of going back and forth guessing who that possibly is, and we will see who that is here in a few minutes. But before we do that, I do want to say that, yes, I have my first sponsor ever. So I am super excited to thank Cheer Chalk for sponsoring today's show. Cheer Chalk is an awesome product. I had a couple of my guys use it. It actually will help with your grips. It helps with making sure that your hands, when they get slippery or when they get sweaty, that you can actually use it. A couple of my guys used it during some open stunt sessions. They really enjoyed it. Not only is it great for grips, but it also is antibacterial. So obviously in today's day and age, when you're trying to do antibacterial and sanitize your hands, it is great for that. It is made in the USA. There's a money back guarantee. And as of right now, it is $5 off plus. If you put in the discount code FULLOUT10, you get an extra 10% off. So it's a great deal right now. So go to the Cheer Chalk website, cheerchalk.us, put in the FULLOUT10 discount code and get an additional 10% off for Cheer Chalk. Well, now that is done, let's bring in the guys. So first, let's bring in Mark Coleman, Morehead State. Can you hear me?
What's up, Steve? Excited to be here again.
Awesome. And let's bring in Tony Nash, Indiana.
What's up, Steve?
And finally, Schreiber, the Ohio State. How are you?
What's going on, guys? Good to see y'all tonight.
Man, excited to have you guys. We are actually, I'm doing a double. We're actually live on YouTube and Facebook tonight. So I did two. I figured out this new thing. So we are streaming on two different sources, which is great. So, for us, I mean, I'm going to get on his high here and tell us how we should get rid of tryouts here in a second. But for me, Mark, and Tony, we actually just ended our first ever, really, virtual tryout. So we'll talk about kind of what we learned from it, kind of maybe there some things that we actually did enjoy about the process, maybe things we'll use in the future, or maybe not. Maybe we absolutely despised it and we will never do it again. And also, to Ben's point, do we even need to have tryouts? I mean, is the recruiting route something that is obviously something that he has done? I know Liberty started doing it. They're doing recruitment only also. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. Tony and I do agree. And it's a little bit harder for Alger versus coed, but again, we'll talk about that in a second. So, Tony, I'll let you start things off first in terms of kind of how was the virtual tryout process for you at IU this year?
You know, Steve, I thought it actually went a lot better than I thought it was going to. I was definitely nervous. Just one, the amount of athletes that were going to try out. Everyone says that they're going to do something, but you don't always know until you really receive. But two, I was nervous about just how the presentation would be and what, they would do. But they were actually very creative in their processes and following our requirements. I know that it was a challenge for a lot of them with the partner stunt aspect, just because they had to use prior videos since, the social distancing couldn't really be together. Some of them were able to tumble, at the moment, and then some of them used past tumbling clips. So I was pleasantly surprised with how well it went. And, tell you the truth, I missed the live tryout. But, in the future, I could definitely foresee some part of a virtual being a round of the tryout process itself.
Mark, what do you feel? Mark, you are muted.
It's okay.
I should have known from the red light. Hey, no, my keyboard's set here tonight, so I can hide the typing. I definitely think the same thing that Tony said. I agree that it went a little bit better than I thought. I definitely think that there were some advantages to the video tryout process. Normally, when I'm running the Morehead tryouts with both teams throughout the day, I'm just running around crazy like a chicken with my head cut off. And so I felt like being able to sit down on my own time frame and watch videos, and then if I needed to take a break, I could. I felt like I really was able to be a judge more than most years. Like when I bring the Morehead alumni in, I really rely heavily on my judges because I'm also, generally emceeing the tryout, coordinating the event, and just dealing with everything all at the same time. So it was nice to not have that going at the same time and being able to watch the videos at my own pace. And I also we split up the judging. We split up our judging one night for one team, and then we did the other team the other night. And it gave my brain a break. And it was nice to, look at the videos, discuss the athletes, have a break, come back. And then I met again with my judges. And even though we were discussing the other team the second night, we were able to go back and revisit some of the people that we had discussed the night before. And so I thought that was helpful, but definitely, with the virus, there were a lot of people that were forced to use older videos. And then even with the restrictions towards the end of the trial process, our athletic department told us to send out information and told people not to film any new videos. There were some kids that were trying to get together and get their stunt videos together. And there were some people that were trying to sneak into gyms to get their tumbling videos. And so our athletic department wanted to make sure that everyone was following the COVID-19 restrictions. And so I had to send out emails saying basically, it's okay if you haven't gotten your videos at this point, but do not film any new videos. And if you have to use competition videos, if you have to use older videos, that's okay. And so we saw a mix of older videos and a mix of some new stuff. And, it was what it was. Like, it definitely is not my preference, but I don't know. I definitely think when this is all said and done, I'm going to sit down and talk with Ben about the recruitment model, because that is becoming more and more enticing to me. One thing that I've preached the topic with some of my alumni, and they brought up a good point that if we did go to a recruitment model, it would kind of take them out of the process to a great extent. And that's one thing that I really do enjoy, and I think is vital, to bring the alumni back and have them stay connected with the program and have them still continue to put their footprint by helping select the next generation of the Doan dynasty at Morehead. And so I don't know, if I don't go to a full recruitment model, maybe I would do something like what you guys do and do a hybrid, but I'm definitely intrigued to kind of research that a little bit more.
Ben, yeah, last couple years you've gone with the recruit model. So kind of just talk about that process for you, and also what Mark said for your returners. How do you deal with returners in terms of that?
Yeah. Well, one thing I wanted to share first with Tony talking about the hybrid is the first year I was on Team USA in 2010 actually had that model where it was a video first to qualify for the tryout. And then that's where they did the live skills and things like that. So that first round was via video, and that's where they made the first set of cuts. So, I think maybe more people might do that in the future, with everything going on. But yeah, this was the second year that we've just selected our team through recruitment, and it's been fantastic. Again, our process is identifying kids early, and at our clinics, we also have that recruit questionnaire online, and then we will make several recruiting trips. Being able to kind of craft that relationship with them as early as possible and get to know them a little bit more. It was definitely nice this year not having to scramble. I know a lot of people, obviously COVID was unexpected, and it did feel good that we, had our team finalized by the end of February this year. So that was something that was an advantage for us. But, again, one of the main reasons, I think we've talked about this before, were the reasons we started it was to be in alignment with the other varsity sports at Ohio State, and being a varsity sport, we just kind of wanted to follow that same method. And two was, as all-star competitions kind of kept getting pushed back farther and farther in the spring, it really left few weekends to have a tryout that was before May, and May 1st is the deadline for admission. So, I didn't like the feeling of having that tryout afterwards and, cutting some people, and they were probably going to not come to Ohio State then, and they already had paid their admission fees. So, that was something I really wanted to try to get around, and it kind of led us to the recruiting method.
All right, guys, our mystery guest is here. I'm excited to bring her in 2 of you were correct in guessing it. So please welcome Miranda from Oklahoma. Miranda is here to join us to talk about.
Hi.
Miranda, welcome. We are excited to have you today.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been, I haven't been able to watch live a lot, but I've kind of used your YouTube to watch a lot. So thank you for having me.
We're excited, and we were just kind of talking about the video tryout process. So we'll pick your brain a little bit later about some of the topics we've talked about before. But first, talk about just what are you doing at Oklahoma? Are you guys in the process still, or are you guys done?
We are not done. So we're, yes, still in the process. We've received a lot of videos. We do a lot of paperwork submission as well, letter of recommendations and resumes, and just trying to get that all around picture. We actually had a pretty good video tryout process already in place. So we were pretty quick to move just straight to everybody using that this year. But we had a previous date of May 12th, which it's late. We're always really late. I'm not so sure I love that entirely. With our region and all of our all-star influence to stay away from worlds and summits. And so, so we are using that date still, yes.
So, I mean, obviously being in Oklahoma, you're drawing in a lot of Texas, obviously Oklahoma, I mean, that area in terms of talent. So, I mean, kind of talk about, what have you learned already so far in regards to the video tryout process and, compared to the live process that is at Oklahoma?
So I actually got to help Keegan with his Grand Canyon process that they had about 2 weeks ago. So I was just helping judge a portion. And so I think I was hearing Mark say that they decided to divide up and have people watch different aspects. And that kind of or he divided up between teams. So I think we'll definitely use that. Just the interview questions we asked, having somebody kind of look at those, and then fight song or material separate, then skills, and then kind of weeding it down. In our live process, we have not moved to a bid format. So I still get a very big range when it comes to skill wise. And so we've always kind of just started with our more basic things and made a cut, and made 3 or 4 cuts over 2 days in our process. So I am a little nervous about how that's going to work for me, looking at just videos of everybody. And again, I'm right there with, Tony and Mark on the whole, I don't know how I would do a full bid process for an all-girl team. It's just so hard not to see people with each other and heights and, all that. So we'll see.
No, again, we're here on Full Chats Coaches Corner. Myself, Mark Coleman, Tony Nash, Ben Schreiber, and Miranda from the University of Oklahoma joining us today as our mystery guest. So we kind of talked about in regards to that kind of that hybrid, or we talked about is the model of going away from tryouts kind of the way to go, and I know that a lot of all-star coaches have pushed me about that because, again, as Miranda mentioned, you're dealing with Worlds, you're dealing with Summit, and now there's D2 Summit, and it just seems like it never ends. It goes really till mid-May. I know for myself, and I do believe also, Tony, Indiana, we have that May 1st cutoff in terms of, accepting or coming to the school. And obviously Tony running the all-girl team for USA is obviously going to have to arrange around that too. I mean, Tony, in regards to that schedule, do you foresee possibly even a hybrid version of it, or kind of how things maybe at IU?
Yeah, that's definitely something that, I'd like to entertain and talk with Julie about for Indiana specifically. And, I think that it's more of a conversation I would like to probably even have with you and Ben, just because you've been through the process. But I could definitely foresee some, part of it, maybe selecting maybe a quarter of the team or a half the team or whatever, just by, recruitment, and then the rest doing the live tryout. I think that one of the big concerns for me is, and we all know as coaches, where you have those athletes that are on the team and that don't quite live up to their or your expectation. So, what happens if they're going to be cut from the team, or you got to move on from them, and so when you're bringing people in, is that making them live in fear that they're being replaced from the get-go? Or I don't know. There's a lot. I would have lots of questions.
Yeah, Ben, do you want to follow up on that?
Yes. So one thing, and I know that you asked me this earlier and I forgot, so my apologies, but one thing that in our policies, procedures, and code of conduct document that we state is when you're recruited and selected for the team, you're only on the team for that year. It's like a 1-year contract. What we do is we say that you're kind of always, under evaluation. Now, the way I define that is if you are, specifically in the spring semester, as we're finishing up our selection for the next year, if you are, let's say you're a male or female and you have a solid full normally, and you start maybe getting a brain freeze or starting to have some issues with it, or you're not landing all of them all the time, are we going to cut you directly for that reason? No. But if you are starting to really have issues with a lot of basic skills, there could, this is what I'm talking about is just skill. I'm not talking about any behavior or any cultural things or actions, but just skill based. So I just wanted to clarify that. But let's say then you start having issues with standing tucks or standing handspring tucks, or you are no longer able to complete the basic partner stunts, toss stunts with a majority of males, then we are going to have, conversations. And then if we're not seeing that improvement, that's when we're going to make a change. So they are kind of, it's the way we explain it is we don't want them living in fear that if, I make a mistake that I'm going to be cut. And we try to say that many times throughout the season, but we also, need them to realize that, it is still a team and there are qualifications to be on that team. And there's a standard that, needs to be met, essentially at every practice. So, if you're having some issues, that's not necessarily going to be a reason to just be removed from the team. But if it's something that really becomes a habitual and major problems start happening, then we're going to do that. So we don't really have an official time, but we really kind of say, that's what in the spring semesters when we're making those evaluations with our final decisions.
But do you have those conversations with them?
So what we do is we actually meet one-on-one meetings at least three times a year with every team member. That's anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes each. We also have an open door policy that, a lot of the team members take advantage of if there's issues or things that they want to discuss. But at least 3 times a year, we do a one-on-one to review academics, to review, their placement with the team, and then just even to review life, how things are going, anything that we, as the coaches or any of the support staff, can assist them with.
Gotcha.
Well, the thing is, guys, what I forgot to tell you is I actually brought in two surprise guests tonight. And so everybody, Ben, you got it. You're right, my friend. Please welcome Christa Sanford, the University of Alabama coed is here with us today. Christa, can you hear me? Are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can. You are here. You are live. Thank you for joining. It's the first time we've had 6. This is great. This is awesome. We're just talking about the video process. So obviously, here's your platform. Is Alabama, you guys are in the middle of it right now. Is that correct?
We just launched ours yesterday. Yes.
Okay. All right. And I mean, obviously you just started. I mean, how has it been in terms of so far in regards to video versus live tryouts for you guys down in Bama?
Well, we hit send yesterday, so that was good. So that started off well, but, preparing it and putting it together and trying to just explain it to see what we were going to get was kind of like, I felt like we were writing a book, and that if we didn't get this book right, it wasn't going to come across right. So that was, and it was myself and Jennifer and Brandon doing it. And we edited it. We did so many edits with it. So I do think that, we're going to see what we think of it. But right now, what we're doing is we're really just starting with the first round. And the first round that we do in person starts with tumbling and just basic cheerleading. So we do feel like for video, video first round, like we could do that. But it may turn out that second round is that way as well. We're still waiting on all of that confirmation. So.
And when will your tryouts be over?
Well, the video portion, we submitted it yesterday and it is done. May 12th is, so next week we gave them 7 days to be able to compile what we asked for, because we did not want any previous videos. We wanted it to be done within the 7 days. And we gave them the material that we were looking for and the expectation of that, and a link to upload it and how we wanted to receive it. And so we are going to meet together next week and go from there. So,
yeah, this whole video thing has been unknown, stressful. I know if Tony wants to chime in here, like I know Tony was talking about how actually it went smoother, a little bit smoother than expected. I mean, Tony, is there anything that maybe you said you would maybe take a little bit of it, but do you think that forward that, videos, or at least maybe the first round of videos, is something that you may want to keep?
That I may want to keep?
Yes.
I do like the personality part of the interview. They had to give a brief introduction of themselves, and sometimes I feel like when they're in that non-pressure environment that they tend to open up a little bit more versus when they feel pressured in front of someone they obviously want to attend that university. But yeah, I definitely like the material portion of it being done through video, just because it's a lot easier for me to just go evaluate sidelines, evaluate fight song, school song, whatever it may be. And, it's kind of like a checkbox system, and, bad motions or mismotions or whatever it may be. That's really easy. That way on the live tryout, I could potentially focus on just the skill aspect of it. So, I think that there's pros and cons for me, in my opinion. Either way, but I'm very happy with how the process went. One thing I'll say that was interesting to me, especially because I have some of you on the phone, on what are we on the computer, yes, good, laugh at me. That's why I laugh at myself often. It's funny because, we all, we have top programs, and, so we get a variety of people, but it was interesting seeing some of the stunts from people that were sending in videos for us that were at Alabama clinics or Purdue clinics, and seeing all that stuff. I'm like, in a perfect world, I was like, I told Julie, I was like, I wish they would have an Indiana shirt on, and I have to see them in an Indiana shirt, because you wouldn't go to Purdue in an Indiana shirt and go to their clinic, or to Alabama or to Oklahoma or Ohio State or more. You wouldn't do that. So that was really kind of hard for me to handle at first, but it is what it is.
No, Mark and I actually just had this talk, I think yesterday, right, Mark? Like, it was the one time that kids asked me, and they were very honest, said, I have this skill at an IU clinic, or I had this skill at this clinic. Is it okay that I'm wearing red? Or is it? And of course I said yes. I get it. Mark, I kind of want to chime in on, your video process. I know that you said you had a lot of videos, and the process of a lot of kids wearing a lot of different apparel during your video process.
There were some interesting choices made in what they chose to wear. Now, there were definitely some videos from like stunts from other clinics, and given the restrictions and given that, I know the high school rules are allowing flipping stunts though, but the flipping stunts are generally the skills that a lot of the kids really need to work on. And so coming to the clinics or coming to other college clinics is about the only place that they can work on those skills up until now with the high school rules. But a lot of the spring clinics were canceled. And so, I didn't bristle as hard at somebody sending them doing a back handspring up from another clinic, because I understand the situation. But there were some people that were stunting with their stunt private, or they were doing lessons, and they had like another program's shirt on, and I cut that person. So I'm just being honest.
Now they They are.
Well, there was several. There was definitely one person in like
if you if you think Mark is talking to you, he probably is.
I mean, and I know my alumni didn't appreciate it either. So I mean, it's like, come on, have some sense. I mean, now I'm sure you guys can chime in on this too. We knew that with the video requirements that people would be probably trying out for multiple programs and sending videos to different teams. But I think each of us has our own requirements, and we were expecting to see them do the specific requirements. Obviously, my fight song is different than Indiana's or anybody else's. So, they were going to have to redo the fight songs. But if they were lazy and just sent the same stunt videos in all the videos, then, that's obviously communicating that they don't care as much about being a cheerleader at Morehead State.
So, Steve, can I ask Christa or Miranda even a question, or even any of you? Christa, would you rather have a guy try out by video and show you a pull-up QP in an Auburn shirt or a toss to hands in an Alabama shirt?
Oh, well, I don't know. I'm not from. Well, hold on. I'm going to watch what I say. Exactly. You put me on the spot because I feel like I'm just sitting here talking to Tony. But, that's a tough one. Might have to. That's tough. Well, you know what? We've had people transfer from Auburn, so we can change them. We can turn that orange and blue into crimson. So,
anyone else dare to answer? Ohio, Oklahoma State, Michigan.
I'll definitely answer. Go ahead, Miranda.
I was just going to say, I don't think we see orange, like it's not possible for us here. So I'd probably have to really make sure the kids didn't know. If that makes sense.
Well, I will say that we listed what they're supposed to wear in our tryout, so that's not going to happen anyway. We gave them the tryout appearance protocol. So
yeah, Chris's is different because she gave them that 7-day window to do all their stuff. So she, definitely would not take that. But I'll tell you right now, if there was a person wearing a Michigan shirt doing a full-up QP that wanted to come to Ohio State and know that they were ready to make that, I would take them. We've had people from Michigan, and it's just like people in like Major League Baseball that have played for the Yankees. I hate Boston, and then they sign with Boston. So if they're serious about it and they have that skill, I'd rather have a full-up QP than just toss hands.
But they're paid millions.
True.
Well, I mean, the video process obviously has been very different for all of us and has really kind of changed the game in regards to, obviously kids can send their videos to multiple schools from all over the country and literally try out for 100 teams if they wanted to. But I agree in terms of, I think that the whole process was a little bit smoother than I expected it to be. I think that there was definitely a couple of really tough cuts, and the toughest were definitely, in terms of returners or just those freshmen that were really close, but we'd rather see them in person. If we could see them in person, we probably would have kept them. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, that's just kind of a thing. But I do know that we are reserving the right to have a fall tryout if we want, but that's only with kids that we cut during the tryout and any returners that we cut only. So it'll be a very small tryout, but it would be only kids that sent a video in that still came to Purdue and or any returners that we ended up cutting. So we do reserve the right to have a fall tryout if, as we love to use the word bamboozled, if we get bamboozled by a video that just, it's just like pole vaulted them over it, and just really made them just really love them. So then, we reserve the right to have that fall tryout. So are any of you considering maybe a possibility of having a fall tryout if you need to?
We always have the option, since we switched to the recruitment method, to have a walk-on tryout if needed. As of right now, we don't have that need, but if we would have people that, for some reason would need to leave the team over the summer or even early into the fall, we could take walk-ons if needed.
I don't know yet. I think our numbers were great. So I feel like we're going to be in a good place, but that's not really my call. So, I think that for the times that we're in, it might just be presented to us that way. And, we may have to entertain it anyway. So.
Mark?
Hey, I was going to say, we filled both of our teams and we're really happy with the teams that we chose. But, given the economy, given everything that's going on with the virus, I actually took extra people on both teams just to give us a buffer, because I was concerned that, you never know with people losing jobs and, people have a hard enough time affording college tuition anyway, that there definitely might be some movement, losing some people. So I hope that that's not the case. But in our case, we did take some extra people, but if things continued and we saw a spike in the virus again and we shut down again and people lose more jobs and, something happened, then, I would entertain that thought, but we're in a good position right now.
I tell you, one thing that's been really difficult is, we, like Ben, we have this open door, and, if you're not selected to the team, we have a buffer in there where, it has to be a little bit of time, a set space of time before you can contact the coaches about, why the decision was made, because everyone thinks that you're a sinister, evil person, after that. But, I think that's been the challenging part, because, they're sending videos and it may not show their skill level. They could be better than what they're showing. They just don't have the video access or capability to present that. So that's definitely tough.
We normally don't do fall, and I'm not sure how I'll feel, I guess, once I'm looking at all the videos. So I could see it going both ways, taking some extras like, Mark mentioned, for sure. And I have added people in the fall. We do get a lot of, like I said, all-star influence. And so sometimes we have some all-star kids who maybe didn't even try out that are recovering from injuries, or just don't think they can handle cheering in college. So I have brought a couple of people back. So we kind of have that policy that we can, again, move our teams and as we see fit.
Yeah, I actually did the same as Mark. We actually took a couple extra on our teams this year in regards to just, I actually lost two people that I thought for sure were coming to Purdue, and financially they did, but then all of a sudden, obviously with the COVID situation, they weren't able to, they took a more affordable route, which I totally understand. So we actually did take a couple extras also, just in case, because I get it, if July or August rolls around and all of a sudden mom and or dad loses their job, obviously things change last minute, and you just don't know, and you gotta kind of hopefully be prepared for that. So I definitely completely understand that situation. So we're gonna go on to our second topic, which was actually brought up by Miranda, which was a great one that we were chatting about yesterday, was college recruiting combines. These have been blowing up the last few years, predominantly in the South, but not, in the Kentucky area predominantly. But now these are blowing up everywhere. I know USA Cheer has started doing them. Other companies, I know schools have been starting to do them. I've been to Ben's at Ohio State. It was awesome. And but the thing is, just there's literally sometimes hundreds of athletes there. And so the question is, number one, is it worth it? Number two, how do you get noticed? How does a kid, what are all of us look for at a kid when we go to these big college recruiting combines and we're looking for athletes? So I'll actually start with Ben, since Ben actually runs one at Ohio State, and obviously he's gracious enough to invite other schools to be there, but in terms of when you're setting it up, Ben, what are you looking for when you, and I know that we've gone to many of them together also, what are you looking for at these combines?
Well, first, yes, we do at Ohio State run the Ohio Cheerleading Combine. And I will say that the original reason for starting this was to help all athletes in Ohio kind of understand what it takes to be a college cheerleader. So the very first year we did it, we really just opened it up to high school or all-star athletes in the state of Ohio. And like I said, we brought in different colleges, and it was an opportunity for them to realize that, if you are an all-girl cheerleader, or maybe you don't have the best tumbling or the best stunting, there are multiple programs out there. There's programs that compete, there's programs that don't compete. And so many cheerleaders, I feel from my experience, they just end after high school or all-star, just because they don't necessarily know what it takes. So that was kind of the focus behind it, to really just give opportunities to more people in the state of Ohio. For those people that don't know, Ohio is a unique state that the vast majority of the teams are still ground-bound. There's been a lot of changes that have been worked on over the last couple of years with different organizations in the state that we are working to, just continue to grow the athletic activity, the sport, however you want to word it. So that was one of the reasons that we started it. Things that we look for is, I'll say this first, when we get all that information from all of the participants, we like to list, their demographic information first, name, grade, address, things like that, in a document that we'll provide to all the coaches. But the other thing that we're putting on there, for at least the ones that have had it, is high school GPA, SAT, or ACT scores. That's going to be a big thing for a lot of colleges, with rigorous academic requirements, that if someone is not even close to that, we're just going to kind of, all right, next person. But things that we're looking for skill-wise are, just the things that we're looking for, in these videos that people have been talking about, or the things that we generally look for when we're recruiting, elite standing tumbling, people that are standing out. There is a partner stunning section that I will say, of all the combines I've been to, and the one that we even host, I still don't think we found the perfect solution for that yet. But at least with the tumbling, it's given us an opportunity to see people go one at a time. And we also have a game day element in our combine that I think is extremely important, because I don't care what college you're going to, if it's a very competitive program, you're still cheering games. And we've been to a lot of these other combines. There's 0 game day elements involved. And even for us, when we had tryouts, the first couple of years of me coaching at Ohio State, I had to cut some people that were elite tumblers, standing fulls, very good partner stunners. They couldn't do a toss extension and say words and do motions at the same time. And that's obviously a major problem, because we all know that the basketball games, volleyball games, football games, you have to be able to lead the crowd first. So seeing all those elements at once kind of definitely starts, putting people on our radar. But then what I like about the combine setting is everyone's in one place. So you get to meet with these kids individually. It might not be very, very a huge conversation, but you at least can kind of make that first contact, and then, see who you want to follow up with moving forward. So I'm a huge proponent of the combines, hence why we started our own at Ohio. And I just want to, see them continue to grow. And I think the last point I'll make is it really provides parents that are there kind of a bigger understanding. When they see so many different colleges there, they hear different college coaches talk, and they kind of get a better understanding of what, the requirements of college cheerleading are.
Miranda, how's your experience been at all these different, I'm sure you've been to many of these combines and college recruitment clinics. How's your experience been, and what are you looking for? What does an athlete do for you in terms of getting recruited by Oklahoma?
Yes, we actually started going last year. It really wasn't in our budget to be sending us kind of all across the U.S., but I could drive to a few. And then we were actually playing at UCLA when they had the California one, so I was already going to be there. And so I did attend that one. I like the combines a lot. I think you get their all their information at the end. They do a pretty good job of getting their GPAs in there too. So, or at least the USA ones that I attended did, and that really helps kind of, I'm always looking at sophomore, junior age kids. And so, because it's so quick in the senior year, if you haven't applied, there's no way. I don't think we would be able to get you in. So for me, I can see their grades very quickly. A lot of times they do the colored, dots on so exactly kind of like who to spend maybe a little more time with. And so in that aspect, I think it's really worth it for athletes. I like them a lot better than the websites. I know there's a lot of websites, and some of those I think are working well if there's, enough videos on there. But I do get a lot of websites that don't really have a lot of information on that person. So I think, yeah, as a parent, where do you put your money at the moment? I think the live ones are definitely more bang for your buck, so to speak. And so, yeah, I think they're great.
Christa, have you been to any of these combines or any of these college recruitment clinics? And because I believe I saw Brandon at one a couple years ago. I know I've seen Brandon at them, but just overall, what's Alabama's experience been with these combines, and what do you guys like? How does a recruit get your attention in regards to becoming an Alabama cheerleader?
I have been to a few. A lot of them have been like where, kind of like Miranda, like there's no budget for attending. So like if they're in a driving distance, then and I I definitely like to go. I like to be around. I like to see that kind of stuff. But we do have very large clinics. That doesn't mean that everybody that attends our clinic, can or will be an Alabama cheerleader, unfortunately. But yes, I like attending. I do. I think a lot of what's been said, I do like the initial one-on-one contact. I do like to meet parents and kind of get a feel for the family. And because I do think that our game day, our kind of grouping and what we experience together, that there is a parent side to that. And so I think that makes it fun. I think I had a different experience like when I was with Shelton State, because I kind of knew which athlete would kind of go with Shelton State and kind of what, maybe more of the athlete that I could recruit versus differently from other universities and stuff like that. So I think I'm still learning a little bit with Alabama, but I enjoy them. I like going. I like hearing from the other schools and how, we mix into that. And then I do like to see the genuine interest to Alabama. I like to see that, are you going to call me later on after you went to all these other tables and then maybe the interest wasn't there, and now, maybe you want to say hello to Alabama when I was right there for you and I made sure that I spoke to you, but you kind of bypass that. So there's some scenarios in that as well, but I think that they're cool. There's not really a lot near Alabama though. So I wish there could be one, or maybe we can host one.
Tony, same thing to you.
You keep tricking me with this, you muting me. I do think there's a lot of value to the combines, and that's not just really plugging for USA Cheer. I know that we've definitely been part of something we've been trying to provide, but I know that I've been to a lot of different coaches clinics where you have multiple colleges there recruiting athletes. As far as the athlete there, I think I think Christa makes some good points about, wanting them to recognize and understand and visit with your university. I think this is a great platform for people to get their names out there that might not otherwise be able to do so because it's a little bit more difficult in the high school level. But I don't know. It's hard for them to stand out significantly because really the things, if they can tumble, that's great, and that can help them stand out. But the stunning, there's other factors that go into stunning, especially when it comes to all girl and coed as well. So then they may not have the skill level, that they're capable of, at these combines. So, I think it's more from a informative perspective that how beneficial it is. I think that it gets their name out there, and then it gives me somebody to keep in contact with. And it also, gets them excited. Hey, this is what we can offer you at Indiana. This is what we do. This is how our game day rolls. This is how our competition rolls. This is everything about us. Is this, something that interests you? And just puts that on the radar so they can kind of feel for himself. like, I mean, you said, Steve, I mean, the most important thing is that they got to be able to get into the university, and they got to be able to be students, because if they can't, then, I mean, I don't care how talented you are. It doesn't help me.
Mark, I mean, you and I have seen each other at a lot of these clinics, especially the ones in Louisville, Lexington area. I mean, kind of talk about, your experience at these combines, like, because, there's sometimes a couple hundred kids at these things. And so what
I think
to stand out? Go ahead.
Yeah, I definitely think there is a tremendous value, especially for the athletes and the. Are we muted again? Can you hear me? I definitely think there's a tremendous value, especially for the athletes and the parents, because, at some of the bigger combines, where else can you go and speak to 20 plus different programs and talk to the coaches, or in some cases, athletes from the program, and, in one trip, and then, get an opportunity to meet the head coaches from these big programs and talk to the athletes and get seen. And I think there's tremendous value for us. I mean, there's a reason why you go to these clinics or these combines, and I go to these combines that I can, because where else can we go to see 100, 150 or 200 high school or all-star, college ready athletes? Sometimes there's transfers, but they're generally high school seniors or younger who are serious about cheering in college. And, that's a great thing. One thing that I know you and Steve, you and I have talked about for years, I wish varsity or UCA would coordinate something at high school nationals and all-star nationals, where we could have like a coaches table where, we don't want to mess up with the team's time, preparing for high school nationals and competing, but there's a few minutes in between getting their Mickey waffles and, getting their $12 Cokes, that they could go and talk to a college coach and get some information, pick up a pamphlet, shake hands, similar to what we do at these combines. And just, there's so many people at high school nationals, but that's a reason why we recruited high school nationals and why you and I go to worlds. And so I definitely think it's awesome. And going back to the other question about how do you, what do you do to stand out? And I think that varies. You want to stand out, but you want to stand out in positive ways. And if you're one of the best tumblers or one of the best stunners, skills can obviously help you stand out. But kind of like Christa was saying, be someone that's genuinely interested in your program and is one of the first people. If there's 20 tables with college coaches and there's all these great programs in every college program, every program that's going to take the time to set up a booth and come to one of these combines has a lot to offer, and they have coaches and cheerleaders that care. But when you are one of the first people in line, you're kind of, you're investing your time. Like, I've got this opportunity to go and talk to Purdue or Alabama or Oklahoma or Ohio State or Indiana, whatever. But I'm in line at Morehead State, and I want to talk to Mark because I'm very interested in Morehead State University. And so, it's always interesting that sometimes too, people, need to be a little bit more ambiguous about their choice of what they want to do in college, because they'll show up at a clinic in a certain university's t-shirt, and then they'll come and talk to you and want information. And, that's great that they have dreams of being at a certain school or cheering with a certain program, but you might want to be a little less on the nose about who you're supporting so that you have some options there. So.
I think one thing, Steve, that I just want to chime in real quick. For college coaches, if anyone is out there listening, especially smaller programs, maybe that it's a new coach that's there or a new team that's going to be competing, I would totally advise them to get to some of these combines to get their name out there. With stunt teams that are growing and, even smaller D2, D3 schools or NAIA schools that are, maybe haven't competed in the past but are now, great opportunity to get your name out there and meet so many people at one time.
No, I can't. Oh, Christa, you want to go? Yes.
No, I was going to say that sometimes when when coaches are recruiting in a way, like sometimes we're recruiting the same athletes, and I think they play off and kind of give you some of what you want to hear. And that's where I do like seeing what kind of, when you're in that situation, kind of where are you going to go? And because it is a big deal and it is your future. And we're all supportive of that, but so that is a scenario I also kind of like from it and kind of that I don't like from it. because sometimes you're not at the Alabama table. So
No, I completely agree. The first thing that jumps out at me is same thing as like, who is coming to my table, but more importantly, like who's talking to me or who's really engaging with me when I'm coaching them. I like to go around and like kind of talk about critique their tumbling a little bit or critique their stunting a little bit or anything like that. And all of a sudden, if I can really talk to them and they're engaging with me as a coach and I can see that they're coachable, then I think that, these type of kids are kids that are going to show interest. And obviously when you go to the tables, I cannot stress this enough, to any high school athlete right now, number one, like the 6 people sitting here right now that are talking to you, like we don't bite. I swear, like talk to us. We are happy to talk to you. Like please email us. Maybe Tony, I don't know, but but please like send emails, be professional, proofread. I cannot stand it when people call us the University of Purdue or spell Purdue with the E instead of a U or things like that. Like make sure that you are showing research into these schools. Like don't call Indiana the University of Indiana. I guarantee that email will probably be deleted right away. And so please make sure that you are doing your due diligence, making sure that you are reaching out to these people, because we will get back to you. We are genuinely interested in you if you're genuinely interested in our program. And that's definitely my opinion.
Wait, they don't make the chicken at your university?
They don't. I'm sorry. Purdue chicken is not Purdue University. I'm very sorry, but it would blow you away how many people I get with a PERDUE. Like I'm so interested in Purdue with the E, and I think it's kind of funny. Yeah. Well, real quick, we do have a couple of questions from people that popped up here, and I do know one is, here we go. This is actually from one of our guests last week, Ryan Martin, the new coach at Western Kentucky. This is actually to Ben. Ben, how did you get your bosses to support you on that? In regards to, in terms of how you run tryouts or quote unquote tryouts and everything like that?
Yeah. So first, my boss was all for it. I'm very fortunate that my athletic administrator transitioned to her role and was the former women's gymnastics coach at Ohio State. So she literally transitioned, and when she got some teams, it was us, women's basketball, men's gymnastics, and fencing. So obviously there was a correlation with women's gymnastics and cheerleading. She understood the tumbling. She came to a few practices and was able to see kind of what we do. So she totally was all for us transitioning from, the tryout model where we even at the end had, tryout was by invitation only, to the recruitment method. And I think more specifically what Ryan might have been talking about, I could be wrong, but is the 1 year kind of contract that we have. And that is actually the older method, but kind of what was an NCAA method. I think now in the NCAA, a lot more programs are transitioning to a 4-year scholarship, but actually it was a 1-year scholarship that was renewable. So that's kind of where that started for us. And it gives us that opportunity that if someone is really not living up to their end of the bargain, if they are really falling in their skills, it allows us to make that change. But as I said before, people that maybe have a small slip in their skills, we're not just going to make a cut because you're touching down on a full one day. But if it's something major that you are no longer landing standing tucks, or you're not doing toss extensions or toss libs or any other kind of toss stunts consistently like you have been or like our standard is, then we're going to make that change.
Wow. And actually a question for me. That's funny. Okay, I'll take it though. This is from Keegan, Grand Canyon. From one small coed to another, how many all-girl groups do you normally take the pre-division change? So in our program, we have a coed team and an all-girl team that's separate. We usually have anywhere from, this year right now, we're at 10 couples, and anywhere from 28 to 30 all-girl. So that's kind of what we take. And then we combine the athletes to create our small coed team. So that's how we are actually, we separate, we kind of run as 2 separate teams. And then for football, and then obviously for volleyball and basketball games, we do cheer together and rotate those games and everything like that. And then also for nationals, both for small co-ed and game day. We definitely combined it both. But I mean, to answer your question, Keegan, I mean, I usually take anywhere from 28 to 32. Again, I told you, you guys earlier that we took a couple extra. So we actually have 32 on our all-girl team right now, just to be prepared. And actually, but we only have 7 stunt groups. We actually took 4 extra girls on all-girl that really just we have an extra flyer, an extra back spot, and 2 extra back spots and an extra base. And so we actually didn't take an extra group. We actually took just 4 who just were really talented, and we just didn't want to cut them. So that's kind of there. And then we had another one from Mindy. I don't think this is gonna, oh, it does show up all the way. Cool. Mindy's a high school coach, concentrating specifically on game day with UCA at nationals. And she's beginning to see her athletes getting to want to cheer at the college level. How or what should I do as a high school coach to provide the support that they need? Thank you very much. No problem. Christa, you're our guest today. I'll let you take that one first. Kind of any suggestions? We actually had an episode about that a couple weeks ago about what high school coaches and parents can do to prepare, but we didn't get to hear your take on that. So kind of what is your advice to high school coaches out there to help their athletes get ready for college?
Well, I actually have spoken on this a couple of things, and I don't know if I follow along with others, but I feel like I see a lot of athletes because I also have a cheer gym that they get kind of into that freshman, that 8th grade, 9th grade year, and they've done whatever it takes to make, get into their high school program. And then you kind of see a slip. And when they come to me, I start asking them like, well, was this your final goal? And, oh no, I want to go beyond that. And I'm like, okay, so this is, you think that this is it. Like everybody has to continue to work on their craft. And yes, you have teammates that surround you that are great, and you have great coaches, but you also need to do, to me more. And that's also looking at those places of, of interest of what you want to be when you grow up, and starting to make those relationships and reaching out and seeing where you fit in. And does that place fit for you also? And so for me, I start looking at people like in their sophomore year to see what potential they're going to grow within the next 2. And so that's because I feel like that jump out of their, middle school into high school, and then, they've done their freshman year. And now if they're starting to really set their goals forward, you're not making that decision in your 12th grade year, in your senior year. You're making those decisions each and every year, and that it gives you a way to grow within yourself and not expect everything to happen in building into your college year to your freshman year in 1 year. I think that those are things that you have to spread out. And so I would definitely, I know at Alabama for our clinics, we have opened them up to freshmen. They do get kind of big, and we have thought about maybe even scaling that back to sophomores. But when we're talking, we do want to start talking not just to the seniors. The seniors are the ones that have the availability now that should have already been applying to schools and getting their acceptance letters and finding out which program is going to be best for them, and the college coaches reaching out and making that interest in them as well. So I would say as soon as, once however they start into their high school program, just find out what programs and when you can start making visits. And you don't necessarily, if the clinics aren't open, universities, you can go on college visits. And a lot of schools also give you, they may only do it in the senior season or junior and senior season, but they have college visits all the time and tell you about programs that are available to them. And so I feel like that there's a homework that doesn't have to be done the second you turn a 12th grader. I think that, you're taking your ACTs, you're taking your SCTs, and you're trying to improve them for college. So start going ahead and looking into those programs if that is a possibility. And, what do you want from those programs? What is it about them that you like? It's not all competition, just the opportunity that colleges provide is, incredible. So I had no idea. I knew what the University of Alabama looked like on the outside, but actually living it was even better than it is from the outside. So I think there's just a lot to explore for every college and university, or, on the Shelton State end of it, where I was in the junior college, of what building block do you need to get there? Not everybody is going to take that first step into, the university level. Maybe they need the junior college level to help as a building block to get them there. So, do you need that? Do you need to be realistic, as a high school coach, to talk to those athletes that maybe academically they might need that help for them to be successful, so I don't know. I may have talked too long, but that was fun.
Your perspective is great because, you've coached both at the junior college and obviously the D1A level. A lot of people forget about the JUCO. Not everybody's ready to go to the 4-year school right away. And junior colleges, especially a lot of junior colleges, have great scholarship programs and things like that to look into. So definitely, we have a couple more questions, though. But before that, got to plug my sponsor one more time again. Cheer Chalk. If you go to cheerchalk.us, put in full out 10 the discount code, you get 10% off on the already $5 off. Oh my goodness, people, get on over there. Go use Cheer Chalk. It is great. A couple of my guys used it. They loved it. It really does help with grip. And it will definitely help you out. And it's also made in the USA. It's a great thing for right now for our economy. So definitely go on over there to cheerchalk.us and put in full out 10 to get an extra 10% off the already $5 off they have. A really good question here from Brandon. Best advice for a first-year college assistant coach. I'm going to let Ben take this one first because I know Ben has a full-time assistant coach. And kind of, Ben, just kind of any advice for a guy assistant level?
Yeah, I think that if you're a first-time, first-year college assistant coach, that's a wonderful opportunity to just take it all in, to learn, to listen a lot, to not be afraid to share ideas and share feedback, but really use it as an opportunity to take a lot of mental notes, take a lot of physical notes, file things, think of things that if you have the opportunity to have your own program one day, that you would do the same things, that you would change how you would want to, set your own program. I actually had a very unique situation that, was a grad assistant for a semester and then, became the head coach when I was at the University of Delaware. And I was still kind of taking mental notes going into my senior year at Ohio State for undergrad. And then during my 2 years in graduate school at the University of Delaware, because I knew I wanted to pursue becoming a head coach. So that's when I kind of made that decision that I was going to go all in on this and started figuring some things out. So make those notes, listen, ask a lot of questions. I'd also ask a lot of questions to other coaches of different sports. Just because it's a different sport, you're going to be able to learn a lot of different things at whatever university you're at. So be open-minded and just be hungry to learn.
Absolutely. Good job, Mr. Schreiber. That was excellent. A great question here from Donovan. I've always wanted to make coaching a full-time job. Is that possible? Yes, it's hard. It depends on what type of coaching you want to do, Donovan, but it's definitely possible. I'll let Mark take this one because Mark has done he's made a living basically as a cheer coach your whole life. So Mark has done it. And so Mark, kind of talk about how you've been able to make cheerleading really your life here for the past 20 plus years.
Well, I think one of the most important things is actually having a 4-year degree, because if you are interested in coaching in college, almost all universities are going to require that you have a college degree. And then, there's a lot of cheer coaches that are teaching in high school, and you also need a degree to be teaching in high school. So I think the majority of the cheerleading coaching jobs that are available right now that are what I would, full-time would be, with schools, school cheerleading and college cheerleading. Now I'm sure there are people out there in the all-star world too. I used to coach all-stars, and that's really where I first started coaching outside of getting out of college. But I had to wait tables and teach private lessons and teach all-stars and stuff for several years and work with local teams before I got established enough to eventually kind of work myself up the ranks in all-star world. But there's, cheerleading's blowing up. It's becoming an international sport now. So I think that there's way more opportunities nowadays than there were when we were all starting. I don't want to age myself, but when I first started, coaching cheerleading, it was teaching summer camps for UCA. And that was really about the only jobs in cheerleading that were available back then. So there weren't as many opportunities. There weren't gyms on every, street corner just about, or in every town now like there is. So there's a lot more opportunities, but I definitely think getting an education, having a degree and having you can moonlight as a coach at first to kind of get established. And then if you're fortunate enough to, and do a good enough job, that eventually you can get a position where you can coach full time. But you and I have talked about it, even college coaching jobs being full time, that has not really been a thing for a majority of the schools until the last 10 or 15 years. And also, kind of like teachers, it's not like we're making $1 million doing what we're doing. So, you have to be either very frugal and financially sound with your money, or you have to have other things that you do. Like I do choreography and I do cheer music, cheeranddancemusic.com on the shout out on the bottom there. But you have to be willing to work and a lot of the times multitask and have different jobs and do different things so that you can build up to the point where you can do it full time. But even, being blessed to be the head cheer coach at Morehead State University, I still have to do other things to supplement my income and to help support my family. So,
all right, I'm going to give this one to Miranda. Miranda, this is from Jalen. How did you guys create the culture of consistency and commitment at your schools? Basically, creating culture. I know that's kind of the buzzword in coaching right now is culture. You've been at Oklahoma now a few years and obviously developed a championship program and won a national championship. And so kind of talk about what was kind of some of the obstacles, or how were you able to come in and create the culture that you want at Oklahoma?
Yes, I think that's a really good question. When I first got to Oklahoma, I would say I had to assess what the culture was originally, so that I could really start to change it. There were a lot of things I didn't touch at first with, game day traditions, and that part, I think, of the culture at OU. And I did end up changing some of those things, but it was only after I got to know a lot of the alumni, and had my feet wet a little bit more. It was really, to be honest with you, it was kind of where all-star kids went to die. That was really kind of what it was. Retired, kids that used to do so many things when they were, in all-stars, and then they had, fallen off the wagon of kind of work hard, and all of those things that they used to do. So for me, I knew that it was in there, right? Like I knew that those kids had at one point not sat down at practice, or, gotten their phones constantly at practice, or, they would be sitting on the side at practice, or let's say it was like right before practice, they're all kind of sitting on the side, the mats need rolled out, and it's 5 o'clock, we're supposed to start, and no one gets up. A lot of times it took me 3 times. Hey guys, come on. Hey guys, come on. So, for me, I think it was holding sight that I knew that those kids had it in there, right? It was just getting it out. So I did a lot of using books. We read Grit on an annual basis by Angela Duckworth. And so, I've read the book a couple times. And so we use it annually and have since I got there. Now, I will say the first time that we used it, they were running sprint drills while I was reading to them about it because 2 people didn't show up to a volleyball game, right? Like, it was kind of the Wild West. And so for me, it was kind of focusing them on something. And then personally, like I said, not losing sight that they were going to get there eventually. And then since then, I guess it's just been trying to keep it fresh, right? That same idea of a work ethic, but keeping that fresh year to year. So I use a lot of commercials, actually, because they're really short and you can show them right at the beginning of a practice and they can do and say a lot. There's a lot of different campaigns by Under Armour and Nike and things that just really get you going, that shot of energy right before, that kind of keeps us committed to really being strong from the beginning of practice through to the end of a practice. But yeah, that's kind of what we did. It was long.
No, I think I agree. I think that creating some sort of leadership, I don't want to say class, or just providing some sort of leadership in terms of the culture that you want instilled in your program is very important, because some people are going to buy in and some people aren't. There's going to be casualties to the war. Like, some people just aren't going to buy in, and that's okay. I mean, that's just the way it is. But eventually it will happen. A lot of people have really good questions here. So thank you for sending them in. I'm going to get this one to Tony, because actually Tony and I have talked about this before. A couple of questions that kind of combined into one. The first one here is from Phil. Does it stand out more when someone is a 4-year varsity cheerleader in terms of recruitment? But also then asked by Liza, when looking at high school athletes, does being on a world's team versus a summit team matter to you? So Tony, kind of talk about high school versus all-star athletes, a world's athlete versus a summit athlete, and kind of what does that really matter to you when you're looking at an athlete?
It does, but at the same time, at the end of the day, it really just matters what their ability is as an athlete when it comes to the physical, on what they can execute. I think the difference, I get asked all the time between all-star and high school, what is my preference? I think that the majority of what we do at our university, I would say 90% of what we do at our university is game day or public appearance. And so that really goes into the high school market. The other 10% is the competitive aspect, and that I think benefits a lot more all-stars, because that's their focus. So, I don't feel like there's a right or wrong either way. I won't recruit one over. At the end of the day, I just want to make sure, are you able to fulfill the requirements of the team? Are you able to be, somebody that's going to be, I feel, productive for the team in the future? So I don't think that it really matters what background you come from. So I think there's benefits to both. Now, I will say that, in my experience, that I've had a lot of all-star athletes that were great at the tumbling, the stunts, and everything, but then when it came to a high V, it looked like low V. So that definitely has happened. But to me, it's a lot easier to teach good game day, because they got to learn the game day anyways. They got to learn the traditions of where you're at anyways. So it's easier for me to teach someone how to do fight song versus do standing full. So that's part of it. And then as far as being a 4-year varsity, that's a varsity cheerleader, that's not really something I ask, because that's really dependent upon the circumstance with the team that they come from. I mean, there may be a reason that they've been on varsity for 2 years versus 4 years, or on JV. That's the circumstance at their previous school. So that doesn't really affect any type of decision for me.
All right, we got one last question that I'm going to let both Mark and Christa take here, because it deals with Kentucky, and it deals with, if you listen to Christa's awesome one-on-one full-out chat, you learn that she's from this area originally. And so this is from Casey, and she is a cheerleader for Greenup County. And she was wondering what would be the best way to get my name out there to colleges. So Casey, first of all, thanks for watching, and thanks for sending us that question. I have Mark Coleman here from Morehead State, right in Kentucky, and then also Christa, who is originally from the Greenup area. So I'll let Mark go first. Mark, kind of reiterate kind of what these athletes can do to the best way you feel that they can get their name out there to the colleges you're interested in.
Well, I think with social media nowadays, it's so easy to have access to, the Instagram pages that all the cheer programs that we that we all manage for our teams. So you do something as sending a direct message to the team's Instagram. But my first thought was, just reach out to the coaches, communicate to us. One of the things that carried some weight with me this year when we were doing our virtual tryouts, if there was somebody that had reached out to me, via direct message on our social media accounts, had sent me an email, had asked me questions about the program, had shown that they put some thought into attending Morehead State University as a university for their academics, in addition to the cheerleading program. Those were all things that I was looking for. And so, and some of the decisions that we made factored into the fact that I went to the judges and the alumni and said, hey, this person's serious about Morehead State. They've emailed me a couple times. They seem very mature. They're very clear about what they're looking for in a program. And I think those are all, excellent traits to have in an incoming athlete. So I would say reach out to the coaches, try to communicate with the program in whatever ways you feel comfortable. And kind of like what you said earlier, Steve, we don't bite. We love our jobs, and we're always looking for people great people to add to our programs. And so showing that you're willing to communicate and you're wanting to learn, those are all great characteristics to have.
Christa?
First of all, hi, Casey. I am from the Greenup County area, except I went to Raceland High School and graduated from Raceland High School. And then I went on and finished my college career at Morehead State. So I am a Kentucky native, and I've been in Alabama now for 18 years, which is, I'm glad that Steve asked me to say, because first of all, growing up in that county, I always admired the program at Greenup County and Miss Candy Berry, who is still your queen there, and such an incredible leader and somebody who, is just an icon and someone I still look up to very, very much into cheerleading and what she's done for so many young high school athletes, and is still there for them in life. And I know every one of her students can say that. But growing up in Kentucky, there's such great cheerleading in the state of Kentucky, and there's great places to continue on if cheerleading is part of the college career that you want to have. But one thing, once I moved to Alabama and I was at the cheer gym and became a part of Shelton State in junior college level, and they didn't have that resource really in the state of Kentucky. And what I started learning that I wish I'd have known had I personally reached out beyond just the state of Kentucky, and looking at these coaches right here, these are all great programs that offer great opportunities. And so I would say that, go outside of your comfort zone. It is easy to go to what is, in your back door, and maybe that's the obvious choice, and maybe that's what you will do, but at least go find out what you like and what you don't like, and meet new people and make new networks with other people that, you might see that go to other clinics or go out there, and you might find your best friend, that you are going to, live with at the University of Alabama and be there, or, you might find them at these other programs. So I would say that definitely just, start looking and go beyond, find out, what you want to be when you grow up, if you do, and start seeing, do those programs have it? What do I like about, this program versus this program? And just go to a clinic, and because by not trying it, you don't know what you like. You know what you see from the outside, but you don't know. You might go and really, really think, wow, I can't believe I thought that, or you really, really like it from the outside, and you go and it's just not the feel that you get in your heart of where you want to finish your future. So I would say definitely just go and try and have a good time doing it.
Well said. Go ahead.
Yes, no, big dreams. I'm a little Raceland girl who look what I get to do for my life, and I couldn't be more blessed. So,
well said. I cannot explain enough. I said this from the beginning. I'll shoot it from the rooftops. Go to clinics, kids. Go to clinics. Learn about these programs. You will know within usually an hour if it's the right place for you or not. You'll just feel it. You'll know within an hour or two. So go to clinics. Do campus visits once the whole COVID situation hopefully passes by here soon, hopefully, and we can get back to normal life in terms of giving these awesome clinics and having these awesome campus tours. So I was so excited to bring in our two mystery guests you guys, I got you, but they did guess Miranda and they did guess Christa. So between the team, I will say good job, Mark, Tony, and Ben, of guessing those two. So, but we are done for the day. Thank you so much, everybody. We had a lot of great questions, so thank you again. So please join us again next week. We will have definitely another set of topics to talk about. Something we didn't get to was about super senioring, doing a 5th year of All-Stars, maybe skipping college that first year, kind of our thoughts on that. And then also, I think a great subject that we were just actually chatting about was culture. How do you instill a culture? What is culture? I think would be 2 great subjects that we can bring in for next week here on Full Out Chats. Coach Corner. So Mark, Tony, Christa, Miranda, Ben, thank you guys. I appreciate it as always.
Thank you.
All right, and that is our show. Thank you again to our sponsors. First, cheeranddancemusic.com, Mark Coleman, thank you. If you like the intro music, go to cheeranddancemusic.com. He can definitely help you out with some great music for any of your music needs. And then one more time, again, a special thanks to Cheer Chalk for sponsoring tonight's show. Again, go to their website, cheerchalk.us. Put in the discount code FULLOUT10 and get 10% off already the $5 off they have. So again, go to cheerchalk.us to get some great cheer chalk for you or your team for all those stunting needs. Again, thank you all very much. I hope you enjoyed tonight's show. We will see you next week. Again, stay healthy, stay safe, be well.